pay attention to where Trump and Kamala, Harris, where Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are trying to reach the voters. And look at the podcast that they both went on.
Before we continue, we invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.
Ukraine may soon have to adjust to this precarious moment in their war with the victory of Donald Trump. Let's find out what they're saying in Ukraine. Joseph Lindsley joins us now. Joe, what are you hearing?
Hey, Bob. Well, good morning from Kyiv. And I was up through the night watching a lot of the results like most people. It was a calm night here. Kyiv was not attacked. And, I think a few observations on different levels. One, the mood among Ukrainians. And then secondly, the mood among Americans who support Ukraine. And there's a difference there. And then third, looking at this election, based on my experience, when I, long ago was mentored by Roger Ailes, the founder of Fox News, who helped get Nixon elected and Reagan elected and both of the Bushes elected. And I did escape that world, but that gives me some kind of insights into I think a little bit of what is happening. And first, I would say this morning from Ukrainians I know, whether they supported Harris or Trump, very sort of unusual thing. I think that we would not see in America. But I received messages, many text messages from Ukrainians saying things like, "God bless America. I sincerely wish success to your country and hope that the changes that your people want will be achieved." If someone else said, "If this is God's will, I accept it, even though I don't like President Trump. But I pray for the new American president and for the American people." And so really these very sort of compassionate messages from Ukrainians from all different sort of sides of the political spectrum, sort of with kindness. And I see very different communications from those Americans who support Ukraine, many of whom woke up this morning with a lot of despondency, pretty angry about this, and they see that a Trump victory is they see it as a disaster for Ukraine. But so here's an interesting division: is that many Ukrainians do not see this as a disaster, and I think for two reasons. One, Ukraine is it tends to be it's a very traditional, it's a tolerant country that religiously tolerant, but it tends to be a pretty traditional place, a place of the values of faith, family, freedom, and so traditionally. If you remove, the personalities from the equation, Ukraine would be a country that would probably be a bit more Republican in many ways. And so there's that part of it. But secondly, I think that the way things are going is just not good. And Ukrainians are saying, if the Biden policy is continued, this is not going to work. Ukraine is going to be pushed into negotiations despite all the nice rhetoric. And this was missed a lot when I was listening to some of the commentary in American media. For example, Martha Raddatz on ABC News, she spent some time here in Ukraine. She, has reported on Ukraine a lot. And she was saying that, this must be terrible for Ukrainians, because of some of Trump's rhetoric. But she missed in her reporting just kind of how on the edge of hopeless things have been when it comes to American support. Every time Ukrainians have opened some of these key opportunities the past months, like, for example, the incursion into the Kursk region of Russia, they're sort of restricted by the White House. And that's been so I think Ukrainians are, in a sense saying, hey, it's been so bad, we need to try something else. But that is a very different mentality, even from the Americans. For example, Americans I know here in Kyiv are much more despondent, but Ukrainians have more of a sense of, okay, let's try to make an opportunity out of this. And I think we saw that, and it seemed that the first foreign leader to write to acknowledge President, Trump on his victory was President Zelensky. And because Zelensky, he's been very diplomatic throughout this process. It's not easy, and he sent a message saying that he looks forward to working with future President Trump. And there was an interesting, in Trump's victory speech a few hours ago, he mentioned Russia and China several times, and in the sense of that America is better than those countries, better than Russia and better than China. And I think for those who support Ukraine, that's a sliver of opportunity. to say that, Ukraine, stands against these totalitarian regimes. And, Trump also mentioned Elon Musk, who was played a huge role in getting, in getting Trump elected. And Trump was praising Elon for launching that rocket, the SpaceX rocket, with the amazing feat that the rocket booster was caught. And Trump, he went on for about 4 minutes describing that moment of the SpaceX rocket being caught, returned to Earth, unprecedented success. And that, so Trump was captivated by that, as were many people around the world. And a Ukrainian artist sent me a sketch just within like an hour of that speech, showing an American rocket going to outer space and then Russian rockets hitting Ukraine, and saying, what side does the world want to be on? Do we want to win? Do we want to, rockets to carry us forward? Or do we want rockets, the rockets of the loser that are used to destroy? And so I already see Ukrainians, trying to seize this opportunity to say, okay, let's work with what we have, and let's push for, let's push. We got to change something, and maybe we have a chance now.
Interesting. As you know, Joe, from your time working in politics, politicians make a lot of promises when they're campaigning. Once you get into office, it's another thing. Who knows what the president will do now? As Mario Cuomo once said, you campaign in poetry, you govern in prose, right?
Yeah, well, and speaking of that, and this is something that I've been talking a lot with Ukrainians about, but, if Ukrainians want to make the case to America, you have to make it to the American people. And I think that they could learn a lot from looking at Donald Trump's campaign, because, for example, when I met with Mayor Klitschko, the mayor of Lviv, former world heavyweight champ, a week ago, I was it was not an interview, just a private meeting about, politics and campaigns. And I said, pay attention to where Trump and Kamala, Harris, where Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are trying to reach the voters, and look at the podcasts that they both went on. Kamala Harris only went on a couple of podcasts, one called All the Smoke, one called Call Her Daddy. Not very well known, not hugely popular. But Trump went on the most popular shows in America: Sean Ryan Show, Lex Friedman, Logan Paul, Theo Von, Flagrant with Andrew Schultz. And a lot of people might not know those names in elite circles, but these are shows that are listened to by truck drivers, by veterans, by people throughout the country. And Trump understood that, and he spoke to those people. And I showed this to Mayor Klitschko and others, and I said, just look at the comparison of all the different media podcasts that Trump did versus Harris. I said, that's someone that understands the mood in America. And if Ukrainians want to win over Americans, they have to speak to Americans in those same places.
Good point. Joe Lindsley in Ukraine. Until tomorrow, thank you.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?